Hi friends, my name is Mackenzie, also known as Emtothethird, and this is the start of a new knitting vlog. So in this video, I am going to be talking about the two make-alongs that I am hosting that are coming up. One begins in just a week, and the other one begins on January 1st. But I'm sort of setting the tone, doing the legwork to be able to just get started going on both of those make-alongs. So I will talk about them more in a moment. So thanks for being here. I do want to say that it is the day after the election. And so in part, I just really need to get off of my phone and work on something else. But in general, I'm just trying to be hopeful. Tonight is the weekly knit night that I host at Starlight Knitting Society with my friend Tim. So I think what I am going to do is just pick up like some packets of hot cocoa. We have an electric kettle at the store, and we can just make some cups of hot cocoa for folks just for some comfort, because this is a little unprecedented. So I've got my puppy companion here. She's laying in my lap right now. And so she's definitely keeping me company. A little bit later, we're gonna go for a stroll outside because the sun is out and I want to take advantage of that. So yeah, come along for this little week-long vlog. I hope you enjoy. So the first make-along, and like the most pertinent one, because it's like coming up so soon, is a make-along that I am doing with Madison Montees of the Madison Montees and Soulcraft podcast, and Claire of the Pearlwise podcast. I met both of them at Rhinebeck a couple weeks ago, and they told me of their plans to do a Spin It to Knit It Harlow hat make-along. And I was like, can I invite myself to co-host with you? And they were like, oh my God, yeah. So thank you guys for letting me insert myself into the plan, because it was just too fun of an idea to pass up. So the idea for this make-along is that we are spinning a hat quantity of yarn, which isn't too much yarn, so definitely manageable, and then knitting a Harlow hat. Now, the Harlow hat is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is a brioche hat. You can do it in either one color or two, and it is available in a fingering weight version as well as a worsted weight version, which I happen to think is great, because if you are not so good at getting specific gauges when you're spinning, if you're like a newer spinner, then you can kind of like figure out where you need to be. My plan is to spin a fingering weight, and I would also like to make some bats for the hat. Okay. I have been borrowing my friend Tim's drum carder and making bats, and I am completely addicted, and also have some that I will be selling as like kits for the make-along. But today, I'm not focusing on the stuff that I am going to sell. I am focused on my own project. So I have a bunch of fiber over here, and my process typically has been for bats to weigh out about 2.5 ounces of fiber, just like a bunch of mixed up fiber, and then sending it through the drum carder to make two separate bats, and then sort of like blending those bats together so that it's like more cohesive. So that's basically my plan, but I want to do that twice. So I would like to do a 2-color Harlow hat. One, I'm thinking kind of like oranges and dark browns as one of the colors, and then the other color, I have some like cool neon dyed top. Like there's very, very bright yellows, some orange, so maybe like 2 different shades of orange. I could also definitely persuade myself to be more like scummy green. So I'm not sure. It's kind of like a fun part of the process to just see where my inspiration strikes and how we end up doing this. So that's what I would like to do today. I'm going to put on an audiobook. I have been listening for years now to Sally Goldenbaum's Seaside Knitter Cozy Mystery series, and there is one that I just never read. It is like a winter, it's set in like Christmas time, winter time, so it feels very nice and cozy today. So yeah, let's weigh out some fiber and make some bats.
Trespasser, or in Luna's words, a peeping Tom or Jane. She wasn't sure if that word may have been agreed, but it also could have been just a shadow or a strand.
Okay, so I did the first like bats. They're what I was hoping for, like moody with orange. Look at that. And a little bit of like purple and yellow in there. So that's gonna be like the main color. Yeah, it looks really pretty. So that'll be very fun to spin. I think I need to go make myself some food, and then I will GO with my puppy, and that'll be nice. So that's my plan for the immediate future. And I'll talk to you in a little bit. Hello. Okay. It was not supposed to be like this, but it's like almost 2 weeks since I filmed the making of the first bats. It is a Sunday, and in about an hour I have to leave to go teach a class. I'm teaching an intro to sock knitting class at the moment. But what I am wanting to do today is make the second set of bats for the Harlow hat. I spent the weekend finishing up the spin that was on my wheel, which is a beautiful self-striping sock bat set that I ended up chain plying. Let me go get that skein so I can show it to you. This is the skein that I finished off this weekend. Let me hide my face so it'll focus on the yarn. It was with a self-striping bat set that I bought from Artifacts of Appreciation, God, long time ago. And I basically split the bats up, and I didn't like weigh them, but I split them up into strips and wound them into little like cinnamon rolls and then put them into bags numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so every time I sat down to spin, I would grab one little bundle of 1, one little bundle of 2, etc. And then I would like spin them in order. And I was like really debating how to ply it, because I thought I could just do, and I could have done this, not that I thought, but I could have just spun like one solid color of singles and then plied them together, so I would still get the striping effect, but it would be a little more marled. But once I saw how much yarn, like how many singles I had, I decided to chain ply. I really like chain plying. I did not know that people didn't like it until I was at camp, and people were like, "You like chain plying?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that that was something people didn't like." So I have not set this, so it's very twisty still. You can see that, but it'll, I think, be really beautiful when it's done. And the plan for this is to make socks at some point. So that's done now, which I'm excited about. And I am going to, like I said, make the second batch of bats to pair with the first ones I made. I want to do like a lot of whites and yellows and beiges for this second set of bats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh out how much fiber is in this first bat, and then I'm going to go through all of that fiber that you saw on my table and make a second set, I guess, of fiber, and then I'm going to run it through my drum carder. And I'm excited to start spinning. So that's the plan for today. Hello, good morning. It is the first day that I've really had a morning to chill and I am getting started on my spinning of my bats. First of all, look at how like all those like colors in there. So nice. I split the first bats into like strips, roughly eighths, and I'm just taking those strips and spinning from that. I'm doing like short forward draw. I'm not as consistent with long draw. And even though these bats would lend themselves well to like woolen spun, they'll kind of be like a mix because of the fiber preparation, but then the way I'm spinning it. And I have to say, I'm just like thoroughly enjoying spinning with bats. If you have not had the opportunity, like if you've only ever spun maybe dyed top, it's a really different experience, especially with the way that I have been making bats, which is very, very inspired by Lindsay of Artifacts of Appreciation, who I have talked about even earlier in this video, but like in general on my channel. You know, if you use different wools together and then you're like blending them, it's just a really interesting spin because it's not all like very consistent. And I love that. I love knitting with yarn like that. And I'm really, really loving spinning with bats like that. So you'll kind of get like these really airy chunks and you can decide whether to kind of leave it nubby or to like spend time pulling it out and like aligning the fibers a little bit better. And then also just like the color variation is really fun. So when I was putting together this bat, which you saw, I was feeling like it was too cool toned, which I found interesting because I was using like a warm gray beige with the white, but like when I like put it next to my darker bats that are like very orange, it felt like they didn't go together. So I took strips of the merino, like just dyed merino. I actually don't know that, like I have a lot of stuff that I have like gotten from free piles, or like I've bought like little bits of wool top that I just like the colors, and I'm actually not 100% sure that they are merino. I think one is like a silk blend that was like dyed with oranges, and then two are dyed wool, but again, I'm not 100% sure that those are merino. But I bought those from a local yarn store. And so I like sort of incorporated them into the final couple run throughs, my drum carder, and it just added like these interesting like spots of color that helped it match. You see that? That helped it not match, but helped it coordinate better with the initial bats that I made that were like that warm orange, and is making just like such an interesting spin. So I'm kind of having a blast. You know, last year I did a video about burnout that I was experiencing. And as my like fall season has come to a close, I've definitely been seeing signs of that burnout. Nowhere near as bad as I was last year. But one of them is that I'm having a really hard time concentrating on TV and movies unless it's like something that I watch like on repeat. You know, it's a really interesting like thing that is happening in my brain. that I've recognized and seen before, but you know, Kay and I have been watching Nobody Wants This, the like rom-com between Adam Brody and Kristen Bell. And like we'll watch a couple episodes and like I generally have been enjoying it. Like I'm like, oh, excited to sit down and watch it, but like after a couple episodes I'm just like, I'm bored and I like don't want to watch it anymore. It's sort of this funny thing where it's almost like I want more stimulation because I'm burnt out to keep my attention, and it's like also I'm overstimulated. I saw like a post about someone talking about bored out instead of burnt out, which is sort of like when you swing into so much of the opposite direction after you've been burnt out that you're like understimulated and it's like hard to find the balance. And as I talk about, I'm a Libra. She loves her balance. And so, yeah, it's just, I'm having this like interesting sort of moment where like, yes, I would normally sit down and like watch something and do a bunch of spinning, but I just like, nothing is like appealing. It's almost like I have no appetite, but like for media. So I've been listening to some audiobooks. I just finished my book club book, The Thursday Murder Club. I'm sure a bunch of you have read it. It's like it's like a New York Times bestseller. For all intents and purposes, I expected to really like it because I love a cozy mystery. I tried to read it 2 other times and I just sort of like couldn't, like, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. And I almost DNF'd it. But I was talking to my bestie and she was like, I love it. And like, it's okay if it doesn't resonate with you, but like, maybe don't give up. And I was like, okay. So I stuck with it and I did enjoy the conclusion, but I just wasn't like gripped by it. So yeah, I'm interested to see what other people say. I know like one of my coworkers was also reading it for our book club and she was like, I was bored and I did not finish it. So book club is tonight. We do it once a month and we've actually started holding on to the book for 2 months. So we will meet and like, we're still reading the same book. And then next month is December. So I think we're probably going to do our little yarn swap, which I actually recorded for Vlogmas last year and we'll probably record for Vlogmas again this year. So yeah, anyway, just some like musings. I love spinning because it's meditative and yeah, it just gives me a second to kind of catch up with what's been going on. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep spinning and hanging out. You can see back there I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving, which is next Thursday. So I've been working on my like little table display. And yeah, I'm just having a nice little rainy, crafty day by myself. I think that's it.
Just where it was needed, gleaming black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing, faces merge and change, but your face remains the same. Swallows will be here by dawn. When we're finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom